Actor Corbin Bernsen has starred in a number of big hit shows, including his role as Arnie Becker on LA Law. But today he returns to the show to talk about his inspirational new film, Beyond the Heavens. Welcome back to Harvest.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Okay, so we didn't let you in at the top of the show. You didn't get a chance to do Choose Your News.
We should have had you in here. You could have heard about Russia.
Goodness. I said, but I have a wonderful joke based on one of those last stories you did. So I was very inspired. But in fact, I'm thinking of a movie about rescuing an organ and all the wonderful people that have given money to it. What do you call those people who help save organs like that? Organ donors.
Organ donors.
Okay. Good, okay.
All right.
I got you.
But wonderful to all those people doing that. That's I'm thinking of a movie there about some wonderful organ makes its way back to a church and inspires people. Isn't that kind of
Make sure you tell people you got the idea here on the Harvest Show.
There's a church in Chicago that you can go maybe do some research on.
I know. I think so. I think so.
Okay, so yesterday you shared with us why you do what you do, your passion and your motivation behind it. We also got a chance to talk about your late famous mother, Jean Cooper, better known as Catherine Chancellor on The Young and the Restless. So let's talk a little bit about Beyond the Heavens.
Sure.
The new film that you have out is faith-based. And it was really intriguing to me as I was watching it to know that this young man, this little boy, was drawn in through science.
Right.
So many people have questions about that. So give us the backstory on Beyond the Heavens.
Well, I've always thought one of the if you want people to explore faith, what you have to do is break through some of these boundaries of, where people go, well, look, there's some stuff that stops me. If you ask people around, the virgin birth and the resurrection are two things that stop people who look at the world in a scientific way and go, not possible, right? So I've always been intrigued by that notion of, but that said, there's wonderful things about science and technology, things that are allowing us to do what we do here today, things that are saving people's lives, great breakthroughs in science and medicine. But I've always said, so where does faith and science, where do they intersect? Where do they work with one another? Can they work with one another? Does one take precedence over the other? Does one take the lead over the other? And in the movie Beyond the Heavens, I explore this. Again, you have to find a story in which to tell it. And you have the story of young Oliver, who happens to be the name of my oldest son. All my sons' names are in this movie. My character's name is Gus, and one of my sons is Angus. The family name is Henry. That's one of my sons. And young Finn, who's my youngest son, is the one who disappears.
So you have 4 sons.
4 sons, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I digress. In this story, young Oliver grows up in a very small town where his grandfather happens to be the minister, and he's a little bit fire and brimstone, a little bit, believe in God or this, and it's kind of freaking him out a little bit. He's 12 years old, and he's also seeing the people around town not really living up to what his faith is taught him. His father's maybe kind of flirting with this woman, my character. His mother and father are at odds because they had a child before he was born who disappeared. Before this kid was born, he calls himself the replacement kid. And he just vanished one day out in the snowfields. They don't know why. They think maybe it was some stranger came into town. And she's never in 16 years, but the mother's never been able, with all her faith and growing up in a family where her father is the local pastor, that she's never been able to overcome this, and it's created odds with his parents. So he's going, between all the fire and brimstone stuff and this, God, I don't understand it. You're letting tragedy happen. You're not letting my mother heal. These people in town are sort of hypocrites about what they say and do. Meanwhile, over in school, he's got this teacher who is an atheist. He just says, look, science is what I teach. That's what I should preach, right? But he has I've still made him have a little, and it's not fair to atheists because there'll be a lot who would take exception and say, no, we believe fully what we believe. I'm not going to get into the Oprah argument where I guess, recently that happened. But, but he does have a thing in his side that says, look, science, what the young kid finds through science, they open up, they do a dissection of a frog. He goes, I see how it works. I can explain that. You attach that lung to the heart, to this and that, and it breathes and it lives. That's making sense when all this other stuff in town doesn't. And this teacher is saying, that's good, but, he has this little thorn in his side that I say, this little nagging piece of doubt. And so it keeps the kids exploring, like, okay, is it science? Is the answer there? But he knows there's something to faith until this stranger comes to town, who you learn at the end is an angel. I don't think I'm giving away too much. Is still a great discovery in the film, who comes in the form of a mentally challenged man, this wonderful actor named Lloyd Warner. Not actor, he's just a guy I found up in Canada. He's been in 2 of my movies now. He's one of the most beautiful, wonderful human beings you'll ever meet. As connected to God as anybody I've ever met, you know, with truth. And he comes in and just through reading through C.S. Lewis to the kids and saying, you know, explore, just think about things in this way, and you know, use your imagination if you do to start to create your relationship with God. Listen for God in this way. You know, don't take, again, what we discussed yesterday. Don't take everything that's been told to you. And so the movie is about, you know, this sounds good, now this sounds good, now this sounds good, this sounds good. But really through it all, this stranger is working on him, and you know, he gets to a final determination of, you know, walk by faith, not by sight.
It's amazing how, you know, all those factors kind of just speak to real reality and what real life is all about.
Well, that's what I want to do. You know, I mean, you talked again in an earlier segment about all these wonderful movies coming out of Hollywood, which, you know, we'll see what they do. I mean, I get why they're doing it because it's big money.
Yeah, it's now a marketing thing.
You know, obviously Passion of the Christ did well. Obviously the Bible, the series
Bible
of the
series.
Bibles did well. So everybody's going, wait a minute, we got to catch on to this. And there's great stories. I mean, look at the biblical stories. Are just, if you think about all the technology and CGI and things you can do, parting of the sea. I mean, you can do a wonderful stuff. And I think they're going to be wonderful to show us in a new way some stories of the Bible. Will they change people's lives, or will they affect on a very personal level to say, wow, I should explore faith. You know, I'm not sure that they'll do that. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's still good, and, you know, God bless anybody who wants to make money. I mean, that's okay. We all work hard and have families to feed, and I think that's fair. My stories, and maybe it's, I don't know, I don't question it. You know what, this is what God wants me to do. It stays in a smaller budget range. They're very personal stories. It's usually about people talking. One of the biggest critiques of my films is they're a bit slow. Well, you know, when you get to know people, you got to start slow. It starts, and then you build up to that relationship. So,
well, I wanted to ask you about home theater films.
Yes.
Because that's what you're using, a company that you created to create these films. Home theater films. Yeah, tell me about.
Part of the reason for that was, and the name of it was, we also recognize in today's economy and environment, it's expensive to go to a big movie. There's 100 ways. Look, at the end of the day, it's getting the story out, and I don't care if it's on your iPhone, your iPad, your you know, however you get it, your computer, big screen. My movies all look great on the big screen. We shoot them for the big screen. They go to festivals in different places and special screenings. But we thought it's very important for people to be able to watch these in the comfort of their own home with their family. So kids, like watching Beyond the Heavens, you can really have a discussion with your child, because that's what we want to do. I mean, the big films are great that are coming out, the Hollywood ones. I want to make sure people are sitting talking about the core values of the movie, the core questions, the doubts, the things that kids may go, you know, Mom, I've been doubting God. You know, I have a question. The world is so mixed up. You know, so and so got divorced. Does that mean they don't? You know, I want to address real issues in a very human way. And so home theater films is the idea is you sit in the comfort of your home at a great value. You know, you stream it and it's under $5. You buy a DVD. It's, you know, under $20, and you can sit there with your family, with your friends, and have a little movie night. So I always also people's home sometimes should be their restaurant. It should be their theater. It should be the place where you have community.
Watching the trailer and watching some movie, and just it's engaging. The story's engaging, and it does really draw you in, and it really deals with real life. Kind of threw me back to a younger time when I remember like the Hallmark movie of the week, or kind of thing that we don't see that much because it's lost in so much. Are you trying to maybe bring that quality of cinema's quality of scripting back into our lives?
I am, and I'm trying to make it a little bit more complex even than maybe Hallmark. Hallmark did a wonderful job. They're very sweet, wholesome, wonderful, inspirational stories. I'm trying to do a couple of things. One is I'm also saying, look, my kids are 24 and 22, and kids, I don't want to say it's just kids that my movies want to appeal to, but young families, their world's a little bit more involved and edgy and raw. Yeah. So, and one of the things that, I pray for and I wait for answers for is how far can I go, by the way? To the point where I even come on the show and show a trailer and you go, ooh, that's on the edge, Corbin, for our audience, that's on the edge. But you haven't crossed it yet. But, because if you want to really bring people, you just said a word, very real. If I can't stay contemporary and real, then I might not get those people because they still put it in the, oh, that's just old Christian movie making, or it's real Hallmarky and mushy and gushy, and I want to keep it real and sort of almost indie film like, and a lot of talking. A lot of that's not special effects and all that. It's
Well, I noticed that, I was reading the information, and there's this meteorite. This was filmed in Canada, and this actually happened. Tell me about this meteorite.
What I do is I was invited to this town. It's a long. I shot like a film, like I talked about yesterday. This film Rust, where I started my journey, and the man who was the economic development director in this little town where we shot that, called Kipling, had moved to Alberta and to this little town called Provo. He's a Canadian. I'm going to use my best Canadian accent. No offense to any Canadians, but he said, "Oh, hey, Corbin, I'm up there in this new town, and do you think you could come and make a movie like you did in Kipling, eh?" And I said, "Well, can we raise a few bucks there? Can we get the community involved?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, we got gas money up here." So I took a trip there. I looked around, saw this magnificent place, wonderful people. I said, "But give me something. Give me what's happened here that I can open up into a story." And they're showing me things, and we had the county fair and all that. And they said, well, one of the largest meteorites landed over North America here several years ago. Well, bingo, now that's interesting. I looked at all this file footage, and that's when I started to form this thing of, okay, so here's this guy who comes, and he says in the movie, I hope I'm not giving away too much, he says, I came with the meteorite to this kid. And this kid's like, are you nuts? You came with the meteorite. But he's trying to get this kid to think laterally, if you will. And the meteor is a very real scientific thing that happened. You can measure its composition and all of that. And he's putting this otherworldly event with it, which is saying, I came with it. I'm this guy you're listening to and you're interested in, and but I came with the meteor. And so now the kid's like fascinated by it. And that's where the worlds of science and faith collide. And that's why I was able to start off as a starting point with the movie. So what's next for you, Corbin? Well, I'm continuing to make these films. We're actually getting ready to make a movie called Christian Mingle about the very popular Christian dating website. It's a romantic comedy. So not all things are going to be too heady, but here's a girl who says, I need to find a good guy, and these guys look really good, except for she's not quite what she makes herself out to be. And of course, she meets a wonderful guy, and that starts her journey. So we're doing that. Not all things are sort of heady and deep and philosophical. We also believe that we have a sort of a Christian action movie about a group of guys who go rescue a girl that's on a mission trip in Mexico and gets taken by kidnapped for exchange of a son of theirs that's in an American prison. We believe that some of the genres we can do that as well. And then we're just going to keep finding ways to tell our little movies. And very important, last thing, help us, because now I feel like on the show, the appeal you have to make is we're very small. We can't compete with all those big studios you just mentioned.
I was going to ask about the funding, because it is quite an endeavor. So for filmmakers like yourself, or putting out these great quality products, where does the funding come from?
Well, we generally go into a community and make our movies, a small community. Most of our movies are $500,000 and under, and that's the food budget on some of the movies you mentioned that are going to be coming up. And we get the people in the community involved. We have a few Christian friends who want to help, but these are smaller investments. But what's really important, and I'm so thankful, blessed, and all that to be here today, is that we really want people to understand us at Home Theater Films and what we're doing. So if you can visit our website, hometheaterfilms.com, breaking through the noise, making the movie is one thing, but then you got to tell people about it. We're fortunate people like you have us here. But if we can create a community that knows about it and likes our movies over and over, that's important too. So hometheaterfilms.com, you can learn about who we are, what we do, and upcoming stuff.
Okay, so they can get more information about Beyond the Heavens at that website as well?
As well.
Okay.
And also our wonderful distributors, Echo Light Studios. All these names, somebody will remember something.
So that's right. I mean, if you enjoy faith-based films, I know you do. You want to support them. For more information about Beyond the Heavens, you can go to hometheaterfilms.com, hometheaterfilms.com, or you can go to harvest-tv.com and click on show info in the menu bar for more information about Beyond the Heavens.